you go. Just so you know, we have some kids in the service. That's part of the culture here at North Orange. So if you hear kids being kids, that's okay. Mom, dad, if they start screaming, we have a cry room, all right? So they can take advantage of that. And I feel like I'm talking about the mission trips a lot, but here's another one. In 2006, I took a mission trip with my church in the Bay Area, and we went to Taiwan, for a 2-week mission trip. While we were there, we did youth ministry at 2 churches and 1 juvenile detention center. That was a fun experience. I went into the juvenile detention center, which is a place where they're basically like an orphanage, where if they've committed crimes, someone kind of says, I'll take care of the child, and then they kind of give them schooling and like a Christian education. But these are all like criminals, gang members and stuff. And so I went in there as a youth pastor, and the biggest kid, the alpha, points at me and he goes, you and me, we're going to arm wrestle. He's like some 15-year-old kid. And I go, okay, like, let's arm wrestle, kid. And he instantly beat me. It was not even close. And my team goes like, well, thanks for letting him win. I'm like, I did not let him win. I guess that's what they do all day is arm wrestle. So while we were there doing the ministry, though, we did a lot of sightseeing. I made it to Taipei, it's like New York City, Taipei. A lot of technology. And while I was there at the time, it's now the 11th tallest building, but they had the tallest building in the world in 2006. It was called Taipei 101. And it had, you guessed it, 101 stories. It was kind of like their World Trade Center. It's a mall, businesses, tourist attractions, and a great food court, all right? And so what you see here is a building, and the buildings underneath it, those are skyscrapers, all right? So that just lets you know how tall this building was. The cool thing about Taipei 101 is you could pay $20 at the time, I know it's probably gone up, and go up to the 91st floor. And at the 91st floor, you would see this awesome view of the whole island of Taiwan. It was amazing. Now, it's 101 stories tall. If I asked you what was the most important part of a 101-story structure, you'd say foundation is, right? Very important, right? You need a big foundation, a strong foundation. And if I asked, hey, the church is our building, then who's the foundation? Jesus, God, correct. But there's something really cool about this building, Taipei 101. See, what you'd find is on the 87th floor, you'd find a huge beehive-looking ball. The ball is 18 feet wide, and it weighs 728 tons. It's called a damper. And the damper is there as a weight that sways, and it keeps the structure from tilting too much. See, at 101 floors, the winds can get really gusty. And so they need that structure to keep it centered. Plus, Taipei 101 is 600 feet from a major earthquake fault line. So the damper can sway 5 feet in any direction and reduce the gigantic building's sway by 40%. Is that cool? So it doesn't come crashing down. Now, if the Father, Son, and Spirit are the foundation of the church, then who's the damper? I would say that you guys are. I think you guys are the damper of the church. I think that your leadership, your commitment, I think your sacrifices help keep the church steady from the different sways. When the culture tries to sway the church, when politics tries to sway the church, when false doctrine tries to sway the church, when Satan himself tries to sway the church, the people are the damper. So the question is, are you qualified? Do you have the right characteristics for the job? Do you have the right character? We're in a series entitled Children of God. And in this series, we are studying the writings of the Apostle John. John was the apostle who walked with Jesus, did ministry with Jesus, and he's described as the apostle whom Jesus loved. He wrote the Gospel of John, which we read last year together. And so this year we studied 1 John, 2 John, and now we're in 3 John. We're finishing it this week. And so let's turn to 3 John together and let's get into this. Do I have the right characteristics to be a damper, to keep the church from swaying? Because that's what your call is. We're in the book of 3 John. It's just one chapter, and it's going to be kind of weird as we read it, because it's like, I feel like I'm reading a personal email from someone, right? But it's published, and it's there for us to grow from. So here we go. 3 John, starting in verse 1. The elder, to the beloved Gaius, whom I love in truth. Remember, he's the elder, he's the apostle of love. So he says, Gaius, I love you in truth. Beloved, I pray that all may go well with you, and that you may be in good health, as it goes well with your soul. For I rejoiced greatly when the brothers came and testified to your truth, as indeed you are walking in the truth. I have no greater joy than to hear that my children are walking in the truth. And so we see that John has a personal relationship with this guy, Gaius, a leader in the church. He refers to him as his children. John has referred to all of those who he mentors or spiritually disciples as his children. That's why we affectionately call him Grandpa John. And here is the first thing he's going to say as we go into the children of God. We are the family of God. He says this: support the sent family members. As the church, as the family, we are called to support those family members which we send out in the name of God, the missionaries. Beloved, verse 5, beloved, it's a faithful thing you do in all your efforts. For these brothers, strangers as they are, these are missionaries who you don't know, who testify to your love before the church. You will do well to send them on their journey in a manner worthy of God. So you will financially support them. You will prayerfully support them. You will give them resources. What do they need? Tents. What do they need? Extra clothes. What do they need? You will send them out in a manner that is like worshiping the living God. Verse 7. For they have gone out for the sake of the name of Christ, accepting nothing from the Gentiles. What he's saying there, that was a common term, the Gentiles, not just meaning those who weren't Jewish, but really meaning those who weren't believers. It's like the missionaries are not taking money from those who don't believe. They're relying on those in the church. Verse 8, therefore we ought to support people like these, that we may be fellow workers for the truth. And there's a first truth about missions work, is that we're fellow workers with them. Now you guys have your 9-to-5 jobs here. You're not out in the mission field. If you're in this building, you're probably not a missionary. Maybe if you're watching online, I don't know. But you go out with them when you send them with your prayers and your resources, okay? So that's what John's saying. So the church is at its beginning. That's the background here. They have missionaries traveling from town to town, sharing the gospel. They're strangers, and they're relying on the kindness of strangers to make it. John says we should support the work of missionaries. That's the first thing. That's the family of God. Brothers and sisters, that's the family of God. We need to support their work. Let me ask you, what do you do for a living? Everyone's unemployed. Great, this church is going to do fine. It's going to be great. What do you do for a living? Okay, all right. 6 people, brave. All right. And so, imagine in your full-time job, you were supported, right? Your retirement fund, your medical for you and your children, your housing and your finances were all supported by someone you'd never met, by someone who believes in the work you're doing. If you're a teacher, right? Like people support teachers, right? Or they believe in the work you're doing. And so they're sending that, and that's the entirety of how you make your living. That is what missionaries go through. They rely on the believers. And so John says, we should support the missionaries. All right, that should be convincing enough, but I'm going to give you 10 reasons you should support missionaries. I found this online, all right? Number 1, because we're commanded to do so in Matthew 28, all right? Jesus tells us to support missionaries. Number 2, we don't have that? Number 2, so that the nations will hear. Someone's got to go. The nations need to hear the word of Jesus Christ now more than ever, and they're going and we can't. Number 3, the workers are few. Like I said, most of you guys aren't missionaries, right? You guys live and work in this community. But somebody's going, and so we need to be supporting those who go and share the gospel all around the world. And just to show how important this is, our Christmas series will be a missions-based series, right? Joy to the world, right? And so that's just a huge thing. Number 4, missionaries depend on churches. We've talked about that. Number 5, we've been blessed for a reason. Listen, God has blessed you, right? Anybody else fast yesterday? Anyone else fast yesterday? What'd you guys break the fast with, right? I went to a place where they serve unlimited pasta, right? I was like, y'all are going to lose money today. And I was praying with my kids, and I was like, guys, we're blessed. Like, I can eat until I can't eat anymore. You understand? Like, a lot of people around the world can't do that. And so just think about that. No matter what you have, you have. And you were blessed for a reason. And so God didn't just give that to you so that you could just live on it and sit on it, but you were given it so that you could share it with the field, the mission field. Number 6, it's a safe investment. Anyone playing the stock market these days? How's that going? Hope it's going well for you. You're like, how's this going to go? Crypto is what I meant to say. Your crypto bros in here, right? I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if it's going to gain money. I don't know if it's a safe investment. Any investment in missionaries is good. It's safe. It's in the souls of people. We'll talk about these Operation Christmas Child boxes and all that stuff of how it's a good investment. Number 7, there's a heavenly reward. Like we don't do heaven for the reward. It's like I don't love my wife and kids to get stuff back, right? But that's part of it. Right? That's part of it is a tangible, real reward in heaven after this life. Number 8, you're loving your neighbor as yourself. Number 9, to glorify the living God. Number 10, to establish his kingdom on earth, which is part of the prayer, right? So support the sent family, support missionaries. And again, we'll talk about this during the Christmas season. All right, confession time. 3 John isn't really about supporting missionaries. I mean, it is, but it isn't, okay? Because we're going to go on in the reading, and what we're going to find is John is upset, right? It's like, hey, pray blessings on you. I pray health on you. And then he's going to take a turn in tone, right? And John's going to get so upset. If I was talking to him face to face, I would say, hey, dude, I think you're mad about something else, all right? Have you guys ever been sitting with somebody and they're like super anxious watching a sports event and like they get up and kick the TV or something weird, right? And you go, dude, I think you're mad about something else, right? Like you got something else going on, right? You usually find them at like Burger King losing their mind on some 15-year-old. They're like, I said no tomatoes. And you're like, dude, you're mad about something else. I'm like, John has something else on his mind. 3 John 9. I've written something to the church, but Diotrephes, we're introduced to the first other character. Diotrephes is his name, who likes to put himself first, does not acknowledge our authority. So I will come. I will bring up what he's doing, talking wicked nonsense against us, and not content with that, like that's not enough, he refuses to welcome the brothers, these are the missionaries, and also stops those who want to welcome them, and puts them out of the church. John's not happy with this Diotrephes guy. Say Diotrephes. You need to know how to say that to get into heaven. Diotrephes. You don't, who cares? But, so John is writing this letter to kind of call this guy out to this church leader. And this is why. He says, you can't be harmful to the family. You can't hurt the family, which is the church. So are you a damper? Do you have the characteristics of a damper? Are you fit for it? Well, you can't be Diotrephes. Diotrephes is not a church builder, he's a church destroyer. He's a problem. And so let's learn more about what he is. John says it all in here. So we're not going to make stuff up about this guy. We're gonna read it straight from John. So there's this little house church. The gospel is spreading. John probably planted, maybe somebody else planted it, and he's just overseeing it as an elder. And Diotrephes is the leader of this church. Okay? Here's the problem. He's not a fit leader. You guys ever sat under not a fit leader? Don't raise it. I'm right here. Diotrephes is a faulty damper on the building. He's destructive. He's destroying the church. How? Let's look at some of these things that are going on and ask yourself, hey, do I have a little bit of this in my heart? Number one, Diotrephes loves to be first. He loves to be first. Verse 9, Diotrephes, who likes to put himself first. You know what we call that? Pride, self-centeredness, whatever else you want to call it, right? He's prideful. He doesn't have humility. There's only one who's first. There's only one who needs to be first, and his name is Jesus. In fact, look at how Jesus taught the apostles. The apostles were doing great work. You know, when you raise the dead and cast out demons, you're pretty special, right? And so they were following Jesus around, empowered by Jesus to do his work. And so they started asking, like, who's the best, right? There's always a hierarchy. Who's the best? Luke 9:46. An argument rose among them as to which of them was the greatest. But Jesus, knowing the reasoning of their hearts, took a child, put him by his side, and said to them, whoever receives this child in my name receives me. Why we love the children. And whoever receives me receives him who sent me. For he who is least among you all is the one who is great. And so Jesus flips the system and says, the one who humbles themselves the most. This is not about status. This is about sacrifice. This is about humility. And so somebody who loves to put themselves first doesn't have the characteristics to be a church builder. In fact, in this case, as a leader, it's a church destroyer. All right? If you're in leadership, any leadership, and you want to put yourself first, it's probably not going to work. If you're in leadership in one of God's buildings, God's churches, God's organizations, and you want to put yourself first, God's going to remove you. He's done it for generations. He's done it for years. And he did it with the he did it with King Saul, his first king, who went from like shy and hiding to like, it's my authority. I don't follow God's command. I do things based on my actions. And God rejected him as king. Read through 1 Samuel if you need more explanation on that. So that's the first problem with him, makes him a bad damper. Number two, he does not accept authority. He doesn't follow authority. He doesn't follow the chain of command. Would you agree that we kind of got ourselves an authority issue in the U.S., in the West? Like it's not great, right? That's why you got teenagers out there fighting cops, right? It's not great, right? We have an authority issue in the U.S., and that's not good. There needs to, like teachers, any teachers here? You guys need to be respected by your students, right? Like otherwise, how are you expected to teach in a classroom? And so this guy's supposed to sit under the authority of John, but he doesn't listen. How deaf do you have to be to not listen to the Apostle John? You guys know who John is? He was there at the crucifixion, did all the ministry. Also, they tried to kill him and he wouldn't die. He's like Steven Seagal. You guys don't know who that is. Chris Hemsworth? Did Chris Hemsworth work? That's old too, huh? I don't know. Who said, what'd you say? Chuck Norris? Yeah, that's younger. Thank you. That tracks. But he's the super apostle, right? And this guy, Diotrephes, will not even follow his authority. He's bad news. He doesn't follow leader. To be a person who is helpful in the church and not destroying, you need to follow leadership. You need to follow authority. And if you can't do that, like I seriously, life's going to be hard for you. Next is he's a liar. He's a liar. He does false accusations, false truths. I'm going to read to you from verse 10. If I come, I will bring up what he's doing, talking wicked nonsense against us. We call that gossip. We call that slander. I mean, at its core, it's lying. Lying, first of all, if anyone, not you, I'll stop saying you, if anybody can lie with a clear conscience, like if lying is your first defense and your first response and you have a clear conscience about that, that terrifies me. That is so scary. Lying is is the language of Satan. Like, that's not a small thing. Like, your heart should be broken over lies and untruths. And so we as a culture need to be those who aren't liars, who embrace truth. And yet this guy's a liar. He's violating the 9th commandment, which is false witness. And why is he doing that? You guys know why Diotrephes is doing that? Is false accusations against the Apostle John? Well, if somebody calls you out on true allegations, and you want to keep your position of power, you're a dictator, some generals leading some nation, right? What they do is they try and undermine the one who is calling them out. And so you have to bring up some charges against them, right? So if John says this guy's unfit, he puts himself first, Diotrephes, this is fiction, will say something like, but John steals from the church. So who are we supposed to listen to, right? He is raising up some sort of lie because he's afraid of losing his position. You following me? And so that's why people, it's a defense. He's trying to hold on to what he's got. Also, he's a liar. Also, he's not hospitable to the missionaries. Talked about that before. The missionaries need him. But not just that, he's a dictator. He's a dictator in this sense, in verse 10. He kicks people out if they house the missionaries. Now, if I kicked you out of this church, do you know what you would do? You would take a cup of coffee and go to the church across the street. It wouldn't bother you at all. It's not as good looking, but you'd be fine. You'd be fine. Back then, they only had one church. If you were disfellowshipped, you didn't have a church. And so to be removed from the church was a harsh thing. I can't fellowship. I don't have a place to be with the community. I don't have a place to get my word open with other believers. Like, it was such a harsh thing. And he's saying, follow my rules or get out. He's saying my way or the highway. He's saying be complicit with my rebellion or get out of my church. That is terrifying. That's terrifying. But that's what he is. He's a dictator. And Diotrephes is bad news. He shouldn't be a leader. He's definitely not a damper. He's not a church builder. He's a church destroyer. And so what does John do? What does John do? Well, he makes it a teaching moment. So wise, the Apostle John. Now let me ask you, ladies, you ever had a friend, a girlfriend, and she's dating somebody, and that person is kind of a loser? You guys ever, is that harsh? Can you say loser in 2025? It's a loser, right? And you want your friend, because you care about your friend, to not date this guy, right? Yeah? And so do you just go, hey, don't date this guy? That's one way to do it. You guys do that? Or do you go, hey, here's Sam from accounting. Sam doesn't live in his mom's basement. Sam takes showers every day. Do you guys bring in somebody that's better, right? You guys know what I'm talking about? Okay, let's see what John does here. Verse 11. Beloved, do not imitate evil, but imitate good. That's something you guys should underline. The life of a Christian is imitating those who do good. Whoever does good is from God. Whoever does evil has not seen God. That's an indictment. He's saying that possibly Diotrephes is not saved. Right? Verse 12, Demetrius, that's a new character. Can you guys say Demetrius? It's an easier name. Demetrius has received a good testimony from everyone and from the truth itself. We also add our testimony. And you know that our testimony is true. I had to write much to you, but I would rather not write with pen and ink. I hope to see you soon, and we'll talk face to face. Peace be with you. The friends greet you. Greet the friends each by name. So he doesn't just say, hey, this guy's got to go. He introduces a new person into the picture. And this is what he's teaching, is that you can't destroy your family. You got to be a blessing to your family, the church. Don't be harmful to your family, the church. Be a blessing to your family, the church. The church is built by people like Demetrius. And he's telling us here, beloved, do not imitate evil, but imitate what is good. What he's saying is that the life of a Christian is imitation. We see an example and we follow it. The primary example of who we follow is, very good, Jesus, right? And then we follow those who are following Jesus. And he says, Diotrephes is not someone whose model we should follow, but Demetrius we should. So he's saying, this guy should be out, this guy should be in. The first guy is not a good leader, is not a good person in the church to help build the church, but the second guy is. And so we all want to be like the second guy, so let's look at the second guy. Okay, he says his name's Demetrius, he's opposite, and he says Diotrephes is your leader, but he's not going to be your leader for long. In fact, John says, I'm on my way over there. Right? Some of you guys have heard that from your dad after you got your report card over the phone. You knew it was trouble, right? You were hiding in the closet, right? Verse 12, Demetrius has received a good testimony from everyone, from the truth itself. We also add our testimony, and you know that our testimony is true. The first thing we see about Demetrius that makes him a good damper for the church is this. He's got good character. He's got good character. He's got a good testimony from everyone, which means the people who know him say good things about him. Listen, it's 2025. You can get strangers to say something bad about you, right? Read the comments. It's in there, right? Right? But the people who know you, the people who work with you, they should have something good to say about you because you've got good character. You're above reproach. Okay? And so this is Demetrius, and that's the first thing in having the kind of character that builds a church. Number two, the truth of the Bible is a testimony to him. Not only has he received a good testimony from everyone, from the truth itself. Like what John is saying is the word backs up his character. The word backs up his life, his lifestyle. This is a man of integrity. This is a man of faith. This is a man of principle, right? And he does the things the word says. Don't we all want to live like that? Don't we all want to imitate that? So he says the word backs him up. It says, and then it says in verse 12, we also add our testimony. So we know that Demetrius is well recommended from other leaders. Well recommended from other leaders, spoken of well in other leaders. Have you guys ever applied for a job? Not if you're that first guy who your girlfriend's replacing. But in job applications, what do they ask for at the bottom? You guys know? From your previous employer. References. Why? They want to know. Do you have good references from other employers, from other bosses? And in this case, it's other Christian leaders. Do the other leaders go like, yeah, that person is great. They can lead a children's ministry. Yeah, I can vouch for them. They could lead a small group, right? And so these are the things of Demetrius, of someone who's a blessing to the church. Philippians 1:27 is a good verse for this. Philippians 1:27 is a good verse for someone who wants to have this type of character. Only let your manner of life be worthy of the gospel of Christ, so that whether I come to see you or I am absent, I may hear of you that you are standing firm in one spirit, with one mind, striving side by side for the faith of the gospel. And Demetrius is doing this. And so the question I ask is, who do you want to be like? Who do you want to be like this morning? Then you might go, Edmund, why am I hearing this? I'm not a church leader. You're a church leader, right? And there's like 5 elders who I could apply this to. True, but let's zoom out a bit. The story's about 2 people in the church. One is harming the church and one is helping the church. And my question is, who are you? In 2025, who are you? Are you a my way or the highway guy? Or are you I listen to the leaders, I follow the leaders? Are you a liar? Or are you, I live by the truth? Are you someone who's prideful? I need to be first. Or are you sacrificial? Because only the one who is like Demetrius will build a church. And let me tell you something, North Orange. We're building something. And I want you to come with us. But let's be honest, if you got some of this rot inside of you, you need to address it now. You following me? How many of you are irritated with Diotrephes? Anybody passionately irritated? Upset? Here's why. Because he reminds us of ourselves. Because we know that deep down we can become tyrants in our leadership. Whether it's the head of a church or the head of the PTA or the head of your homeowners association, right? Whether you're a church elder or you're a leader in the workers' union, the temptation to become a tyrant is real, it's present, and the reason God had John publish this personal email is so that we, 2,000 years later, would see it and put an end to it before we become it. Nip it in the bud. The strength of this church is established by the strength of its people. God's Spirit's gonna guide us, but we're all here. And guess what? We all have baggage, right? Some of y'all got a lot of carry-on baggage, right? You need the overhead compartment plus, right? But we all have our baggage. And so what we have to do is work on that so that we can be those that build up the church and not destroy it, amen? So what happens to Diotrephes? Is it over for him? Get out. Stay out. If that's true, what's the point of the gospel? We don't know how it ends for him. But if you are like him, know that this restoration is possible. That you can be changed. We got to get you out of leadership just because you're hurting people, but you can be changed. John says here that Diotrephes might not even be saved. If you're sitting here in this and you've got those same heart characteristics, maybe you're not even saved. But know this, the gospel means restoration is possible. Did anyone grow up with sibling rivalry? Anybody? Sibling rivalry? I want to tell you about a group of brothers here, two of them, Christopher and Peter Hutchins. They grew up in England, and they were as different as can be. Christopher was Peter's elder by 2 years, and they were always fighting. One day, their father, who was a naval officer, sat the boys down at a table and made them sign an official peace treaty. They were fighting. And they were as different as could be. Same house, same parents, same upbringing, but different results. Christopher, the older one, went on to become a journalist and author. He wrote for Vanity Fair, The Atlantic, and Slate. He authored a book entitled God is Not Great, How Religion Poisons Everything. He was a great critic of Christianity and a famous atheist, a brilliant mind who argued against the existence of God. The younger brother, Peter, became an accomplished author as well. He went on to publish 7 books. His 5th is the one that interests me. It's entitled The Rage Against God. In it, he details how atheism led him to faith. So we got Christopher, a staunch atheist, and Peter, a man of faith, teaching about the faith. They came from the same background, same foundations, same house, but went in different ways. That's Diotrephes and Demetrius. That's the difference between Judas and John. And if we're honest, that's the difference between you and you. You have a decision to make. What character are you going to pursue today? Are you going to be a problem for the church and for your family and for your workplace? Or are you going to bless? Are you going to build them up? I hope you'll be the second one, because God's church is swaying these days, and we need some dampers. Let's pray. Holy God, so grateful for you. So grateful that you give us these warnings up front so that if it is dwelling in our hearts, we can address these issues. I'm so grateful that you love your church. And so if anybody in here is dealing with the heart of an imitating of a Diotrephes, maybe they're a dictator, maybe they're destroying their church, Lord, would you soften that heart? Lord, would you give us all the characteristics of Christ shown by Demetrius in this passage? that we'd be loving, self-sacrificial, that people would talk well of us. And Lord, build your church. Do not let it sway. And bless the people as they hold it, as it moves. In Jesus' name, amen.